Hey everyone, I am finally back. Sorry for the gap in videos. Yeah, no, it's been a crazy few weeks between going out of town and having to reset my computer. It has not been wonderful for getting videos out. But yeah, so I'm back here. I'm doing a little bit of an easier video. Last week I put up a little poll thingy-majig to talk about see if anyone had questions for a little Q&A video, and I got a fair few. But I figured do something a little bit easier since it is Christmas Eve right now, and I should probably get to bed sooner rather than later. And I was on a plane today, there's a lot going on, but yeah. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but since the reset, my camera looks worse than normal, and I don't know why, or it also just might be me looking at it weird, so who knows. Well, I've grouped the categories into 4 main sections, and yeah, I think I'll just go through them. Within each section there's no particular order, mostly just the order that I wrote them down in. Alright, so, and as always, if you have any other questions, feel free to just comment on one of my videos or pop in the Discord and just ask me there, or if you just want to ask it in private, message me on Discord or message me on, you can email me. There's an email on my channel page. There's many ways to contact me if you have a question, but alright, so this first section is talking about just D&D and other ARP role-playing games. Believe it or not, I play D&D. Who'd have thought? Yeah, it's a shocker. Alright, so first one is 2-part one, but it's just how did I get into D&D? The short version is back when I was about 6 or 7, 3rd edition had just come out, and my dad wanted Christmas, so fitting, picked up a player's handbook for mostly himself, but I latched onto it. I could not really read very well, so I actually learned to read on the 3rd edition player's handbook, and I mean, it was a good motivator. I really wanted to play Dungeons & Dragons, and I mean, obviously for the first years I only played with him, but that's kind of like my introduction to it. It's really non-standard. It's just kind of been one of those things that's always been part of my life as long as I can remember, most as long as I can remember, so it's kind of one of those just constant forces in my life. I've been doing it forever. And do I play any other RPGs besides Pathfinder? I'm assuming they're saying tabletop RPGs, but not a lot actively right now. I have in the past played Call of Cthulhu. I've played a few one-off sessions of Exalted. I've played some Shadowrun. But D&D is kind of like my main one because I teach a lot of new players, and it's easy to, I find, even if mechanically D&D isn't the simplest RPG, people are more familiar with the tropes and general concepts of D&D, so it's easier to teach new players, which is most of the players I have. So I just stick to that, and also I like medieval fantasy and whatnot, and I don't know, I'm a fantasy nerd. Alright, so next one is, do you have any experience playing D&D in the OSR style? I didn't know what that was, so let's have the explanation that he conveniently put here. Where the focus is on high lethality, exploration, out-of-the-box problem solving, player skill over PC skill, and emergent narratives over planned narratives. Or how would you describe your DMing style? What kind of experience you're aiming for? So I would say yes to almost all of those, except the high lethality. That's something. High lethality is something I'm going to be talking about in a series I'm I'm probably eventually gonna do after the introduction to D&D is a series on introduction to dungeon mastering. But yeah, I DM very narrative-driven campaigns where honestly there'll be a lot of sessions, probably almost like a half, almost up to 2/3 a 4-hour session won't include any combat. And it'll be a lot of talking and narratives and role-playing and that sort of thing. And I do kind of like more fluid worlds where kind of like how IDM is that I know how the world is put together. Excuse me. And I know how what events are going to happen regardless of the player's interaction. And I kind of let it flow from there. So it's very much an experience of the players kind of interacting with the world that I've crafted, but not me directly dictating what they do in that world, and how they interact with it then like fuels further like paths and stuff. So it's very player driven in terms of where the narratives go. Do I tailor some narrative paths? I mean, obviously, otherwise it would just be sandboxes require some amount of direction. Otherwise, you'll just be sitting there and nothing will happen. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I'll probably almost do a whole video on this question about like what's the experience my players go for. But in short, it is that narrative exploration of setting. Is that kind of what I go for? And also it's exploration of both PC dialogues between the players and whatnot, as well as just like exploring different characters and whatnot, like NPCs. What is your favorite fantasy race, traditional or otherwise? Oh, honestly, I would have to say probably halflings, and specifically D&D halflings, not Tolkien hobbits, because halflings are a word that's used for hobbits in Lord of the Rings, but what the D&D halflings are is that it's kind of like the general D&D halfling is different from a hobbit, where in Tolkien, hobbits are mostly like farmers and they're very simple folk. D&D halflings is what if every single halfling was Bilbo Baggins, and I just really like that. It's just a bunch of plucky small people who just want to like save the world and also stack a bunch of good evasion modifiers. So that's fun. A close second though is dwarves though. I just like love a good dwarf. I mean, yeah, dwarves. And if we're going non-traditional, my it would probably be none. I try not to say no to my players, but probably one of the places I say no to the most is them wanting to play like strange races and whatnot in D&D, especially for new players who like, I want to play a kitsune or whatever. I'm like, please don't, just stick to the core races, especially as a new player, because it's so much easier to roleplay those. But yeah, no, like most of the time, I would choose one of the traditional ones over almost any of the non-traditional ones. Like some of like the tangent ones, like tieflings and SMR and whatever, I'm okay with, but I don't really go beyond that. Favorite version of D&D? I'm assuming it means edition. Honestly, at this point, probably 5th. I think 5th is a good balance. I haven't actually not played that much 5th, but I feel while I've played the most of like 3.5 and 4th, I both enjoy. I've enjoyed every edition of D&D I played. It just 5th has a nice balance, and it's also great for new players, which I said I play with a lot of like newer players, and 3rd isn't good for new players. 4th has its own issues. I had a whole video on that. But yeah, So I'd say probably 5th. That might change like in a few years, like when I see more problems with 5th and whatnot. At that point, my backup would be AD&D, specifically not actual AD&D, but just playing Dungeons & Dragons within Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale. Most enjoyable D&D campaign or experience. Most miserable. And there's also one that's similar to this, which is asking for the most successful. And why was it so great? So let's do the first one, which is why the most successful. And you can measure success in a lot of different ways in terms of like longevity of the group and enjoyability of the group and whatnot. And if I'm just gonna do a composite of like in terms of just longevity, enjoyability, and like how far it went, in terms of also just like wrapping up nicely, and that would probably be honestly a campaign I did in high school. It was called The Curse of the Deldrimar. Not Deldrimar, that's Guild Wars. The Curse of the Deldrimar Seal. It's honestly a coincidence that those two names came up very similar. Essentially the premise of it was you're in a party and one day you wake up and you're in hell, and it kind of went out from there. But it was just really good. It was nice and consistent. It started out just playing on the table outside the theater with a bunch of people, like an improv, like while waiting for improv to start. It was like a fair long break between that, and I felt it was nice and successful because like it had a nice wrapped up ending to it. We played throughout the year, and we knew we were going to end at the end of that year because people were going off to college and whatnot and stuff like that. So we had a nice set end date, and we were able to like finish it very nicely and concisely. Where a lot of groups, even though they go along, they'll kind of just like fizzle out, and you never actually get that like feeling of like it is done. I was able to finish it. A lot of them will leave you hanging, especially those ones that go on for a while. And that one just had a nice wrapped up experience. Also, I got a date to prom out of it, so there's that too. I still need to get a pop filter for my mic because I noticed there's a lot of audio peaks that I'm gonna have to edit out. But most enjoyable, honestly, that was probably one of my more enjoyable ones. The game itself wasn't like my best game that I ever enjoyed, but it was just like a great experience of like just hanging out with friends after school or on the weekend, just hanging out in my parents' basement, eating pizza and drinking junk food, like getting like some nice like pagliaccis or whatnot. And it was just, I have a lot of fond memories of it. I mean, it's also probably linked up with like a lot of fond memories of my senior year of high school, which was just a great year. But yeah. Most miserable campaign. That one's a bit more complicated. It was one where I was kind of pressured into doing it, to DMing this group with a group of people I didn't really have connections with. I'm going to be very vague because I don't want to like hurt anyone's feelings, even though I shouldn't feel bad. But I felt I was pressured into it, and they treated me like they owned the campaign, and they were just not very considerate or acknowledging the fact that DMing's hard, especially teaching a bunch of new players, and they're very demanding of everything. And this was from a friend. This was like the friend who pressured me thing. I had been friends with them for honestly almost 7 years at that point, and it just ended sourly, which strained our friendship. And just one day she stopped talking to me out of nowhere, just like 7 years of friendship down the drain with not an explanation of what went wrong. So that would definitely be my most miserable experience. So yeah. What is your favorite party composition in the Baldur's Gate series, including PC? Okay, so if you don't know, Baldur's Gate is a RPG from the 90s, computer game RPG from the 90s based in the Forgotten Realms. And it's in 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons. And yeah, it's really good. I'm honestly not as familiar with party comps in Baldur's Gate 2. I've actually only played through Baldur's Gate 2 a few times. Actually with some friends of mine, we're actually going to start doing a 3-person playthrough of the series so far. In Baldur's Gate 1, if I'm doing a good party, my go-to class is, I am a big fan of a lot of the fighter mage combos because they're OP. I mean, you're just a fighter mage. You go not dual wield. I mean, you can't go dual wield. You just go that, and you put a bunch of stats into. You get like haste and whatnot, and you give yourself and your rest of your party haste, and then you go in with like major armor, reflected damage and whatnot, and you just tear them out, and they can't do anything about it. But yeah. Then if it's a good party, I'll usually, I mean, you always take Minsk, because you always take Minsk. If you're a good party in Baldur's Gate and you do not have Minsk in your party, you are playing the game wrong. That's just a fact. And then otherwise I kind of like to rotate it in, so I'm not playing the same party every time. I'm a fan of Jaheira. Although I don't love Khalid. Khalid usually meets a tragic fate, because normally you can't have Khalid without Jaheira. I mean, Jaheira without Khalid. So Khalid often dies to that ogre just south of the Friendly Armin. Sorry, Khalid, but your stats are terrible. But I really do love playing with like evil parties, because I like the balance of that. At that point, I usually play Thief, because I don't really love any of the evil thieves that you have access to. And I just love hanging with all the OP people. Like Veronica is just so good. She's a drow cleric. And Edwin is just such good mage, and all those other ones. It's just like so good. And even in the enhanced edition, it's the half-orc blackguard, which is Doran, I think it is. Or am I mixing up with like the magic card? I think it's Doran. I think they're the same name. I might be wrong, but sue me. But yeah, no. But otherwise I try to stay fairly fluid in that. Definitely my favorite PC in that is the lesbian vampire in Baldur's Gate 2. Very nice. I'm all for lesbian vampires. Who is the worst character in D&D lore? And why is it Elminster? You're absolutely right. Elminster is the worst character in D&D lore. You know why? Because he's just a shitty Gandalf. They took like, I mean, like, the Gandalf trope is okay, but it just is bad over time. Oops, hope that isn't too loud. The heater just popped on. It's actually snowing outside. We're gonna have actually like a white Christmas and whatnot, which is like insane because it never happens in Seattle. For those of you who don't know, who is Elminster? That sums him up. He's the shitty Gandalf in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. I don't actually use campaign settings a lot of the time, but I am familiar with Elminster. Like, at least like some like poorly written characters, like in D&D where like Drizzt is like the most common one. At least they aren't strictly just like, you look at Elminster and all this stuff, and it's like, he's just Gandalf. He's literally just Gandalf. And then there's all the other things where it's kind of like the whole thing. It's like, isn't he like truly like world, like in any like campaign in Forgotten Realms? It's like all these problems really could have just been solved if Elminster would get off his butt and fix this problem. He's an incredibly powerful wizard. Fix this. And it like kind of like trivializes that and whatnot. So he's just, and then he's just a Deus Ex Machina whenever like any of the like writers or lore and stuff, and I don't like you either, Elminster. Good question. Very good question. So next section is magic questions, because I also play Magic, because I sold my soul to Wizards of the Coast a long time ago. Would you ever consider reading the Magic the Gathering stories? How many channels acknowledge the story of new sets? I think it'd be cool to read stories that fans might otherwise know about. Who knows, you might even get someone interested in Magic. Smiley face. I have considered it, but I almost feel like I'm treading on the ground of another channel, which I like really support and is really cool, and that is the people who do Voice of All. I'll link them in on the description, but they do very nicely, like, fully voice acted renditions of like a lot of the newer story, but they're going back and doing the old ones, but set to music and having sound effects and all that, and it's just very well done, and I would highly recommend checking them out. It's not strictly ASMR, but if you're looking for something relaxing, like neat way to listen to the story that isn't you like reading the stuff, I can do that. I would recommend that. But if people really wanted some of the readings of those stories, and let me know, and I'll consider doing them. Especially if it's like older stuff that they're not gonna go to. Like, I don't want to like do like time to read the Kaladesh story when I'm like, or I could just point you to their how they did it, and you can check it out there. But I'll link them in the description. But I might be interested in like doing like some of one of my more favorite stories. Like, I love the Theros story, and it's gonna be a while to get there, so I might consider doing the Theros story or whatnot. I might also just do videos like talking about it, or just doing like abstract summaries of the different stories and whatnot. So summaries, that's when. So yeah. Next one is, do you like role playing? What do you like better, role playing games or Magic? Okay. I've been playing role-playing games since I was 6. I've been playing Magic for less than 2 years. It is magic without a doubt. I love D&D. I love the acting aspect. I love the creative aspect. Magic, I don't... It is such an amazing game with so many different facets. I also just kind of like, as someone who's been playing D&D for a long time, I'm having kind of like a fatigue of playing D&D is a lot of work. Getting a group together, getting a schedule down, getting like everything prepared for a session and whatnot. And sometimes it's just nice to be able to like go hang out with friends and play some Commander, or go to an FNM and do a draft. And there's so many different ways to play. There's so many different ways to do it. Like it satisfies like my lore nerd itch to be able to like read the story and like learn about that and consume way too much information about it. I find the intricacies of rules interactions fascinating. I love making just like brewing like fun decks, even if I won't play it ever, that deck ever. And it's one of those things where it's just like I also just have so many more opportunities to play Magic, and I find myself getting far more often the itch to play Magic than I am to play, like having the itch to D&D. Even if I haven't been playing D, I haven't actually been able to do a session for a month, and I haven't played Magic for like 2 days, I'm wanting to play more Magic. And you know what, that might change as I play more Magic and like I get more familiar with it, but I've never had the drive to play D&D. Okay, except maybe at like the very beginning, like when I was like 6. I haven't had a game capture me like Magic has, honestly, ever. So yeah, definitely Magic. What plane in the multiverse do you find most interesting? Also, what is your favorite creature type? FYI, if you say elves, I'm leaving. Don't worry, it's not elves. What plane in the multiverse do I find most interesting? Well, my favorite plane, not the one I find most interesting, is definitely Innistrad. Just because I just love Innistrad. I love the whole like gothic horror stuff. It was also my first playing because I started playing during Shadows. So there's that connection. But I just like, I love both the Catholic horror of like the vampires and the werewolves and all like the ghosts and zombies, but I also like kind of like the idea of like the bright spots in like a dark world, or like the human cities of Thraben and all that, like the Cathars patrolling the edges of the Olven Wall and whatnot. That and just it hits so many tropes that I love. That I just it's not so good. But, in terms of what I find most interesting, honestly, it's actually a subplane, and that would be Bolus's meditation plane. Okay, if those of you who are not familiar with, the magic lore, or are only familiar with recent magic lore, Planeswalkers are these beings that can like travel between different planes of the world and stuff, and they're pretty much just nowadays they're just normal people who have that ability to transport the world, and there's a lot more of them. They're rare. There's a lot more of them. About 80 years ago in the lore, there was an event called the Mending, which was a bunch of different events, but part of the Mending was a lot of the Planeswalkers became more common, but they were a lot less powerful. Before the Mending, they were these godlike beings with like wide ranges of power and stuff. And one of the abilities of such was to create new planes. And Nicol Bolas, the Dragon Planeswalker, created this pocket dimension that was Bolas's meditation plane, and it's where he went to like hatch all his schemes and whatnot and plan for things ahead. And even though he doesn't have the power to do that anymore, it still exists, and he still goes there to hatch his plans and stuff. And I just find kind of like, it's not specifically just Bolas' meditation plane, but the whole existence of these like tiny little like pocket planes and whatnot. Otherwise, I don't know, other planes I find really interesting, like Phyrexia, the main for OG Phyrexia, I find really fascinating, with all the like concentric spheres of different things, like going that with like the allegories to like Dante's Inferno and whatnot, and that's like so good. And likewise, a lot of the other Phyrexian occupied planes, besides like Mirrodin or / New Phyrexia, but like Elspeth's home plane, which we still don't know what it is beyond. Elspeth comes from there, and it is occupied by Phyrexians. So, yeah. And what is my favorite creature type? I've talked about this. It's humans. Those innocent humans. Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I just like humans, and if it isn't humans, it's obviously trilobites. There's one trilobite that came out in Ixalan. I am going to build a trilobite tribal deck one day. Yeah. Chinky tribes. Oh yeah. Alright. So, not many magic questions. The next ones are just general for ASMR / my channel. Let me check the time real quick. Oh, this could be a long episode. Do you have any interest in doing a non-ASMR, presumably gaming channel? Have there been any videos you wanted to make, but couldn't because they don't work in an ASMR format? I have in the past, but as of right now, I only have the time to make these videos. If I was going to be doing more gaming content, it would probably be more streaming it rather than an actual like channel for it. In terms of videos I'd like to make because they don't work in an ASMR format, not specifically right now. I mean, there's a lot of games I'd like to play that just like I don't have enough video slots to put them out, and it is a lot more work to like have like recording times and whatnot. Like I'm even running that problem with ASMR Stardew Valley, where it's Stardew Valley is a long game, and yet right now with current recording schedules, like it'll take honestly like 2 years to finish the game, like quote unquote finish the game, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that. So, yeah. So, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and streaming might be the answer to that, but I don't currently have a computer that can stream very well. So that's kind of like the main thing that I'm having trouble with, but right now I'm kind of content to stick with the ASMR front. But yeah, so I mean, kind of like my things, or I've joked about like, am I an ASMR channel that just does much like D&D and magic stuff, or am I a D&D magic channel that just happens to do everything in ASMR? And I mean, I'm both, and that's kind of like a place I like to be, and I'm not really looking to really go outside of that niche right now. Not to say that I like don't do videos outside of those two topics, but yeah. What is your favorite channel of ASMR? And why did you start a channel? P.S. Love your voice. Why, thank you. And I also received other ones like, what other ASMRs are you up to? And whatnot. Probably my favorite channel right now is probably Sophie Michelle ASMR. I just love her voice so much. I'll link her channel in the description. But it's just I love her voice. I find her very relaxing. I like a lot of her like guided hypnosis and whatnot. But like I said, like my main trigger is people explaining things, and a lot of the good videos for that are unintentional. So but a lot of my favorite videos are like strictly ASMR videos. But yeah, no, Sophie Michelle. In terms of like other big people, I mean, like a lot of what I do is also just like click around like on the Reddit. And the other person I like find myself coming back to their videos a lot is GB. Yeah, but like just like standard stuff. Like I watch a lot of videos just to keep up to date with everything. That's actually a problem I've been having, where like I'm finding myself like when I'm listening to ASMR videos, not being able to focus on like getting into the zone of ASMR and stuff because I'm busy like words that mean things. Like looking at all like how they technically did everything and like how everything's set up, and like paying attention to their audio levels, like what is their tolerated like noise ranges and whatnot. And I'm like, no, Lily, stop doing that. Just enjoy and get your tingles. But no, I gotta look at all the production aspects. But I think almost anyone does that. Like I'll look at it like for whatever they're doing. But like as an artist, I like will see a painting and I'll immediately like look at the brushwork rather than looking at the painting itself and stuff like that. I'll break it down by its component parts rather than like, and that's one of the things that like you always do, but like ASMR is one of those things where it's like it takes away from the whole experience, kind of. But I need to get better about that. This one is just what got me in ASMR. I identified the sensation of ASMR from an early age. I think the first time I remember like being like, this is like recognizing sensation and like the tingles and whatnot was probably 4th grade or so, when someone was explaining a game they had designed to me. And like I said, like my main trigger is explaining things, and yeah, no, that's kind of like what I first think. But I actually didn't discover the community until this last summer, about a little over a month before I started this channel. As soon as I discovered this community, I'm like, wait, other people to do this? Like, I want to create content for this, and I jumped right into it, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, so like before then I like identified like that there were videos that triggered like that sensation that I could put a fear on it. But yeah, no, yeah. So next one is, I have a question. If you're a giant nerd, which I am not, I don't know where you get that impression. How come you don't wear glasses in your videos? I actually do have glasses. I don't wear them in my videos because even though it's at night, and I usually take out my contacts at night to put in my videos, with the lighting, it causes a bunch of glare, and like reflections and whatnot, and I don't want those in my videos. You don't want to see my horrible filming setup, and as well as like my notes and whatnot. So that is why I do not wear glasses in my videos. Also, I've not gotten my prescription updated in a while, and they're not very good. But yeah, no, I got contacts in here. I meant to have my glasses within arm's reach, but I didn't because they're still in my bag because I haven't fully unpacked yet. Go me. I still haven't even finished like wrapping presents. You can see wrapping paper back there. I'm putting off a bunch of stuff right now. Lily, stop breathing into the mic. You have to fix that later. You don't have a pop filter. Okay. So next is like miscellaneous questions. Okay, multiple questions here, lol. What's your full name / how are you? No, I'm not gonna give you my full name. That's just a bad idea in general on the internet. Just don't do that. And just in general, I have advice. Don't give out your full name on the internet. Just don't. How old am I? Despite myself looking much younger than I actually am, I am 23. Do I have a boyfriend or are you married? No and no. It's been a little over a year since I was in a relationship. I just haven't been looking for anyone. Relationships are a lot of work, and finding someone's a lot of work too. It just isn't a priority for me right now. Okay. If you had a choice between going blind and keeping your vision by causing the death... Okay, do you have a choice between going blind or keeping your vision by causing the death of a random person on Earth without knowing who they are or have ever seen them? Which one would you pick? Okay, this is a heavy question because there's a lot to unload. Is honestly me going blind, because, fun fact, in times of overshare, Lily, I've been very suicidal throughout my whole life, and honestly, I feel that me going blind would pretty much be it would push me to suicide. And because like a lot of things, like a lot of my passions require vision in a lot of ways, like making these videos, doing my art, like, okay, games you can't do without it, but it's not the same experience. And I honestly don't think I'd be able to cope with that. I mean, I'm barely coping right now. So almost this becomes would I want to spare my own life by causing the death of a random other person? And I don't know. Because it also has like other things where it's like my continued existence causes the suffering and death of others by living within the current economic system of the world, and it's like there is no like the whole thing where there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and me as a privileged individual in a first world country that comes at the exploitation of a dozen other people in around the world. And is that fair? Is it right for me to continue living in this situation? Because it's like not a system that I myself can dismantle. So is it the better thing to just like not exist in that system? But those people will still be exploited anyway. And it's just a lot to unpack, and I don't know anyone can really like truly give a satisfying answer that can go to that, and I am not at a point where I can think I can answer that question. So I'm gonna say I don't know. Yeah. Best date I've been on. Okay, it's gonna sound cliche, but my senior prom during high school, me and my girlfriend at the time, I'm sapphic, sue me. I'm actually bi, but still sue me. Girls are cute, don't tell me otherwise. We prom was on a boat that went out into Puget Sound and like went all around. There was a dance on that with that, and that was all fun. And it was just a great time all together. And after the fact, we went back to her place, which was right on Alki Beach, and we had like a fire on the beach, and we like got to see all the stars, all the waves were rolling in, just the two of us, and we like cuddled together near the fire because it was night in Seattle and it was cold, even though it was like the spring, and it was really nice. And we went just back and watched movies until we fell asleep on accident because we weren't planning on spending the night together. But yeah, no, it was definitely one of the most memorable dates I've ever been on. Yeah. Good times. Favorite movie and favorite line from that movie. I'll just do the line. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. I love that movie so much. Would you rather have teeth for pubes or pubes for teeth if you had to pick? You know what? I'm definitely gonna go teeth for pubes because okay, I don't need any more pubes than I already have, and I mean, having teeth down there, like, someone's got to be into that, and I mean, like, having extra teeth in places, like, that's kind of rad. Also, you can get teeth removed and they'll be gone forever. You can't, it's harder to get that with pubes. Also, I like chewing food, so yeah, teeth for pubes. Just badass extra teeth down there. Oh yeah. Yeah, no thing. So, 2 questions about, like, what are your biggest hobbies beside D&D and like Magic and whatnot. I play a lot of video games, because I'm a giant nerd. Honestly, but though, like, a lot of my hobbies are encompassed by D&D and Magic, and that's kind of like that, this channel, but that was obvious. But I play a lot of video games. I'm a big fan of Paradox games. You can tell a little bit from my, like, Star Wars Shamanic videos, but I play, like, a lot of EU4 and whatnot, lots of Stellaris. Big fan of, just general RPGs in general, also, like the classics, like Baldur's Gate and whatnot. You know, like, I'm an okay fan of the Elder Scrolls, although my excitement for that series has waned since it's been years and Elder Scrolls 6 still doesn't exist. But now we wanted Skyrim to be relaunched a dozen different times. That's definitely what we wanted. But anyway. Yeah, no, like, that's another thing. And I like to do my art and whatnot. But other than that, I do enjoy hiking and, like, going on walks because I'm out here in the Pacific Northwest and it's absolutely gorgeous out. It's honestly a waste if you don't do that. But yeah, a lot of what I do. I also just do general board games. Like, one of my favorite things to do is just, like, I have a core group of about 4 of us that we just get together and we hang out and play board games and play Magic and play D&D sometimes. We haven't played D&D forever, with that group at least, about once a month or so. And that's just, that's in between, like, doing my art and doing this and that kind of takes up most of my time, so, yeah, just all around, yeah, I'm a giant nerd, but I'm not. Don't claim I am. I'm not. Well, this video's gone on for a bit longer than I had intended. Who would have thought that, like, 20 or so questions would have taken so long? But I hope you enjoyed the video. This isn't strictly a Christmas video, and if you're not watching it now, ignore that. But I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas and other winter holidays. So I guess Hanukkah's already done. Kwanzaa's coming up. Okay, side tangent about Kwanzaa. senior year, I was on the improv team, and there was it was like the Seattle Open for improv, and our improv team was in the finals for this. It was my senior year, so it was like my last chance to like finish off. We were in the finals, and I was in a scene with one of the people in my group. His name was Miles. I don't even remember what the game was, and he was taking suggestions from the crowd. And for some reason, he asked for a holiday, which, I mean, what, that's solid. Like, it was in December, like, it was the holiday season, like, asked for a holiday. And he chooses Kwanzaa. Neither of us knew almost anything about Kwanzaa. The extent of my knowledge about Kwanzaa is that I know it involves candles, and it has something to do with, like, the African American community, and that is it. And the scene was so bad. Oh, because we were too busy, like, trying to remember, like, what the hell is Kwanzaa about? And, yeah, we did not win. But to be fair, our, like, 10-person improv group lost to a duo pair, which is, like, a very different amount of, like, in terms of, like, the amount of tightness in terms of your act and, like, coordination between people. It gets harder to have a tight routine the more people you add to your group. But, I mean, we got second, and I am happy with that. But Miles, why did you choose Kwanzaa? Nothing against Kwanzaa, I just didn't know anything about it. I still don't really know anything about it. The extent of what I know about Kwanzaa, I probably learned in, like, elementary school when we were, like, doing all the generic holiday activities for learning. But yeah, so this has been my tangent about Kwanzaa. But I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I hope you sleep well. Alright, I'll talk to you later.